As part of our new focus here at Gallup on the new American consumer, we've been looking at housing, a vitally important part of the American economy and an important part of a lot of Americans' personal portfolios. 62%, that's the number to remember, that's the percent of American adults who tell us they own their house, the rest rent, or say they live with their parents or something along those lines. That 62% is an average, certainly not the same across segments of society. Let's pick out 5 demographic segments and look at how home ownership varies across them. First of all, by race and ethnicity. Whites significantly more likely to own a house than non-whites by a 70 to 42 percentage point margin, as you see there. Age, that's a no-brainer. If you're 18 to 29, it's less than a quarter who own a house. That jumps up significantly. In fact, it's highest when you get to 65 and over. 83% of seniors, defined that way, tell us that they own a house. Now, income is strongly related to owning a house, but I wanted to show education to you and how much a difference owning a house makes, depending on your education. If you have a postgraduate degree, it's over 80% owning the house. If you have high school education or less, it's down to just a little above 50%. Now, there are politics involved in home ownership. Politics involved in everything nowadays. Republicans, who generally tend to be more upscale than independents or Democrats, are also much more likely to own a house. Look at the difference there. And finally, one of the biggest differences is by marriage. If you are married in America today, you are highly likely to own a house, 83%. If you're not married, and that would include everything from being single, living with a domestic partner, being divorced or separated or widowed, all of those non-married people, the number comes up to 38%. By the way, we asked that 62% who own a home, are you planning on selling it anytime soon? And most say no, they're not going to sell it. But even those who say they might sell their house within the next 10 years tell us they're most likely to buy a new house, either a bigger house if they're younger or a smaller house if they're older. So very few Americans who currently own a house tell us that they're planning on selling and going back to renting. And we ask a similar question of those Americans who rent a house, who don't own a house, basically, and said, do you want to buy a house? And a fairly big majority of that group said, yes, we would like to buy a house in the future. So basically, if you don't own a house, you'd like to have one. And if you do own a house, it's very unlikely that you're going to sell and rent at any time in the future, all of which underscores the vital importance of housing, owning your own house in the American consumer's psyche in America today. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.